Hello, everyone. IMS welcomes you all to the webinar series, the B-School Insider, all you need to know about your dream school. And I'm your host, Kalyani, for this series. So today we will be focusing on FMS Delhi, prep journey, campus life, academics, and placements. We'll be the key points that we will be discussing today. We'll be talking about CAT prep tips, admission criteria at FMS, FMS versus IIM Lucknow versus XLRI. FMS is more than just its ROI factor. We'll find out why. Alumni network at FMS, life at FMS, and more. So let's welcome our panelists today. We have from the current batch, Radhika Mohta from 2024 batch. We have Akash Gupta also from 2024 batch. We have Meghna Rudra Raju from 2021 batch. She's a product manager at Infants. We have Himanshu Jonputra from 2021 batch. He's a program manager at Amazon Global Selling. We have Aditya Dasare from 2022 batch. He's a management consulting analyst at Accenture Strategy and Consulting. And so welcome and thank you so much for being here today for this session. So let's start from the CAT score. So let's talk about your CAT score. What was your undergraduation background? Were you having work experience before, before you, the pre-MBA work experience, or were you a fresher? So we'll start from the current batch. So let's start from Radhika, then Akash, and then Aditya, then Himanshu, and then Meghna. Yeah. Okay. Radhika.
All right. So very good morning, everyone. And so my CAT scores, I got a 99.65 percentile overall. The score was 111. And if I go the section wise cutoff that were there, so it was 99.20 in VRC, 99.75 in QA, and 96.41 in the TILR one.
Yeah.
I've written them down because it is now 2 years since CAT. And now, talking about my background, I have been a software developer. I had done my BTech, my undergraduate in software engineering, and post that I had been a developer with Tata Consultancy Services for a period of 3 years. And that is when I gave CAT and came to
Okay. Yeah, I'll come back to you on that profile bit because 3 years experience, yeah, that's always like, mostly everyone has this question about, how many years is too many years in India, at least for the MBA. So yeah, Akash.
Yeah. Hey guys. My profile would be a bit peculiar to you
Yes.
guys because I am from a BCom background, so
Yes.
I'm not so typical non-engineer here. Apart from that, I also had a gap year. I'm a fresher. I had a gap year. I graduated in 2021, and post that I gave CAT. I got around 99.62 in CAT, with 98.5ish in VRC, 98 point something in DILR, and 99.45 in quants. So yeah, that was about it. Thank you.
Why was the gap year? What was the reason for it?
Yeah, actually, it was a post-COVID year. So I had the choice of going for a job or either I could prepare for CAT. So I chose that.
Okay. Yeah, Aditya.
Hi everyone, good morning. So I had done my UG in Osmania University, Hyderabad in electronics and communication. Post that, I had about 2 years of work ex in Deloitte Consulting, and I was working as a business analyst and mainly in pharma, retail, and healthcare industries. After that, I've prepared for CAT. Simultaneously, I prepared for CAT, and my CAT score was around 99.5. And in a way, 2020 batch, like I am from 2020 to 2022, that's when the entire COVID thing happened. So my life at campus and my FMS experience would be different compared to the rest of them sitting here. So that's a brief about my journey of CAT.
Okay. Yeah, Himanshu.
Hi all, good morning and welcome to the session. Before getting into FMS, I got into the 2019 primarily. I was working with Godrej and Boyce for a couple of years. Before that, I had done my engineering in mechanical, and my CAT score was 99.55. I gave CAT almost 5 years ago, so it's difficult to remember the sectional scores. But my overall score was 168. So yeah. But it was pretty much equally split across all three sections in terms of percentile.
Okay. How many years of work experience you've had pre-MBA?
2 years. Exactly.
2 years. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Meghna.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. So I completed my engineering from JNTU Hyderabad, and then I have work experience of around 3 years with Oracle. Then I gave my CAT, and I got 99.42. As Himanshu mentioned, it's really tough to remember the sectionals. But VARC was always my weakest spot, and then I joined FMS. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. So now let's talk about the CAT prep tips. So let's talk about, Meghna, can you tell us how exactly did you prepare for the week section, which is VARC? Are there any tips? And also keep in mind right now, like since most of our attendees today, they are taking CAT this year. So obviously, now it's July end. So till November, how should they be scheduling? And the kind of if VARC is what their weak point is, how do they prepare now, and also how do they manage the other sections as well, so that yeah.
Sure. So my 2018 CAT attempt was my third attempt. VARC, like every time I used to get 79. That is the sectional cutoff. I never used to clear sectional cutoff. I used to get 95 as overall percentile. So you can understand how weak my VARC was. I used to analyze mocks. I used to write mocks in the previous attempts also. But one thing I realized is if you write exam for say X hours, you should analyze it for 2x times. Like I used to analyze it for approximately 3 hours. Say a passage comes, I used to understand why these options are given, why the other options are not right. So that way made me understand like that actually accelerates and also exponentially increases your understanding of what the person is asking. And also I was reading a lot on other topics like philosophy related. If you see the RC passages are not very interesting. I mean, that is not something which you'll pick up in every day. They are very boring and you should sit and read them. So yeah, I would say like, you should get that practiced. That's what. And also QA is my strong point. I never left QA, but what I did was I just made sure that what are the things I should leave in the exam, because few questions are very time consuming. So that's what I learned while practicing mocks. And I think I gave approximately 30 to 40 mocks. And used to analyze them in the weekend because I used to work on the weekdays, and my work was like I never used to have weekends. So I used to do on Saturday, Sunday. So, but still I used to religiously do it because I learned it the hard way. The 2 attempts went bad. So I would say like analyzing mocks, but make sure that you analyze it properly, not just for the time's sake or name's sake.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Meghna. Okay, Akash. Yeah, you're next. You are the only one who is a BCom. Yeah, everybody else is, they're all engineers. So, yeah. So, tell us from a non-engineering person's point of view, how do you approach CAT? And also, of course, again, from August till November, how should they be scheduling? And was Quant really the section that was difficult for you? And then how did you work on it? Yeah. Tell us tips and also,
sure. So actually what happened was my weakest section was quant. So I had to focus more on that, obviously, because I had to do all the sums, and my strongest was VRC. I could always score good in VRC, but in actual CAT, it happened opposite. So it was not too bad in VRC, but it was. I expected more in VRC and less in quants.
Yeah.
So it happened opposite. So what I did for VRC was I used to read something called Aeon S's. I used to form mental maps so as to understand, like, for most of the time, the difficulty that I was having was while I was reading the passage, by the time I was in the middle of some passage or something, I used to forget what was the point that I read before.
Yeah.
And this used to happen a lot, like especially for the boring passages. Suppose if a passage is interesting, then it makes sense to read all at once. It used to make sense. But if it's a boring passage or passage on psychology, I used to forget what was the other points. So for that, what I started was, I think Aeon is something like 5,000 or 8,000 words. So it's very tough. So I used to read that and I used to form mental maps. That practiced me very well enough for VRC. Apart from that, for quant, what I did was during CAT, like before in my mocks, I used to do the rounds method. So basically, in round one, you do the sums where you think that it's very easy and you don't have to use much of the pen and paper. In round two, you think the sums which you know you can do, but it will be a little calculative intensive. So you leave that for round two, and round three would be the sums which you have no idea about and you're just testing and trying. So apart from that, what I used to do is I used to maintain certain notebooks. So one of the notebooks was for my mistakes. The other one was for noting down any shortcuts or anything, any tips and tricks that I used to do. I think that was it. More than that, you just need mocks practices over and above that.
Okay, yeah. So we'll be taking the questions as in the interview section after this. First, let's cover CAT prep. Radhika, can you give us tips and how to prepare, and also how many mocks you've had taken already by the time it was it was July end, and how to schedule it? Yeah, just quickly.
So before even starting off with my CAT preparation, I had asked people how many mocks should one give, and I got very random answers. I knew people gave 2-3 mocks and went and took the CAT, and still it happened. Someone gave 45 to 50, still maybe couldn't make it. So I thought that getting a number is not the thing, and what I wanted to focus on, that whichever mock I give, however less or however more it be, the focus should be more on analysis. So more than the number of mocks you're giving, the number of analysis is that you have done, because that is what would count at the end. And for me, my preparation was entirely mock centric. I never started out with a book. I started out on day one with a mock, and my strategy entirely was give a mock, then you go and learn that what do I not know, learn those and give another mock, so that in that next mock you'll maybe get to know some newer things that we still don't know. So that was my entire strategy. That is why mocks were a very important part. Then the section wise, if I say, for the preparation part of it, so VRC, just like Akash told, going through Aeon and such websites which offer high quality free articles, so those websites. For in particular, QA was a section that was not one of my best sections. So to prepare for that, initially I might have attempted a lot of questions and tried to learn a lot of things. Gradually, after giving mocks, I realized I do not need to do all the questions and I need not to know everything, but I have to select the questions that I know and I have to answer them well. So QA strategy definitely stood out for me in that manner. For DILR, the only strategy that I used was know every set in advance, so which is not possible. But giving mocks, the maximum mocks if I gave for a section, it was DILR, so that never a question could arrive which I have never seen or I have no clue about. So just know the variety of sets that can possibly exist. So that was my section-wise strategy.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. Aditya and Himanshu, do you guys have any tips? Otherwise, I'll go to the next question.
Just a few cents. Himanshu, you can go first, no worries.
No, that's fine. You go ahead. I'm going.
Yeah, where was the Okay, yeah. Himanshu, you wanna Aditya first, then Himanshu. Yeah.
Okay, so I think all my panelist friends have already covered the strategies that they have followed, but I just want to focus on LRTI because I was someone like in my CAT journey when I first took CAT back in engineering in 2017, I did not qualify in LRTI.
Okay.
And in the year that I got admission into FMS, my LRTI score was 99.9. So like this was within span of like, I mean, it was my third attempt in 2019. So the only, the things that I found good in LRTI was one, the topmost thing that I would suggest is I would, panic in attempting that section. Because quant mein you will have a set of formulas, you have prepared something. You have something to prepare in verbal also, like how do you attempt a passage and all. but LRDI is like very different. You do not know from where to start and where to end. So the topmost tip that I would give to people is that you have to remain very calm. And once you are calm, you will crack through the exam. And as Radhika told, you have to pick up only the easy to medium sets that will be at least 3 to 4 in the exam out of 8. Back then it was 8. So you have to pick those 4, and if you attempt 4, you'll get 99 in LRDI. And the strategy that I used to, prepare for being calm in exam, especially in LRDI, was like I used to solve LRDI sets at like unusual times, like in lunch breaks in office, like in midnight, where your mind is not very active and you're not supposed to be calm. Like in those situations, I used to pick up and do LRDI sets just to make sure that in exam I am really calm and attempting those sets. So like LRDI, I would definitely make a difference if you want to have a high CAT score, because quant and verbal, there are more number of people who will score well. But LRDI is the section which will make a difference and help you make a cut through the college that you want to get in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Aditya. Yeah, Himanshu, you were saying something.
Just to add like one line, like I think everyone has covered most of the points. The only suggestion I would give from my end is for people struggling with VARC. I think reading a lot of books is the key, because the single factor which influences is how fast you can go through a passage or any set of verbal ability questions, and how fast, it's not only just fast, but how well you comprehend it as well. Because if you go through a passage once, you should know, okay, line number 3 mentioned this point, I need to go to line 3 and check it back.
Correct.
So that was like, that comes not with practicing RC passages, but by reading novels and books, as Meghna was mentioning. And these have to be like.
What if your first section or the first few questions are not you're not good at it and it's not coming to you? What do you do then? As in, how do you keep yourself focused for the rest of the questions and for all the sections? So, and especially in the back of your mind, and then it must be going, look, okay, I mean, this is also not that good. I'm unable to do this one. What if something like this happens? What do you do then? Yeah, Radhika.
So I can maybe relate to this, because again, QA was one of the sections that could give me such nightmares. So what I used to do, Akash has already kind of mentioned that as well. So go through the questions just to pick a name of just 5 questions. So I do not really need to even pick up more than 5 questions. So I'm going through this first round just to pick up the easiest 5. And if that is only what I'm looking out at, it's very nice that the first 3, 4 I'm not getting. So that at the end of the list, there will be some 2 questions that I'll directly get.
Okay.
Once that easy part is done, then go for round 2, which will be like medium questions. I also used to keep a very good backup of the scores that I'm getting at the back of my mind, so that whenever I see an easy question, I'm adding it up and I'm getting like 3, definitely getting these many marks over here. So that is how I used to go about it.
Okay. Anybody would like to add anything else?
Yeah, just to add in one more thing. Yeah, just to add in one more point.
Yeah,
like,
Meghna, coming to you. Yeah.
Suppose like if you have already wasted significant time on a set, right? Especially in LRDI. So that is what something happened to me during my exam, in real exam. Okay, so there was a LRDI set of a javelin throw, and that was the hardest set. So what I generally found was generally it happens that the longest set is the easiest one. You may lose out on some info, but the longer set is a little bit on the easier side. That was not the case with that set. So I started with that set and I wasted around 8 minutes on that set. That is when I realized that this is probably the hardest set that I could have picked.
Okay.
So post that, even despite that, I mean, you would share stories. The only way to keep yourself calm is knowing that it happens with everyone. Right. I mean, there are people who even after wasting 15 minutes on a difficult set, they're able to crack 2-3 sets going forward.
Right.
So that is the most difficult thing, the most important thing to know. Apart from that, you don't have to take your stress from one section to other. Like from what basically it happens is, like, suppose if you are not able to do something in LRDI, you take that tension in your quant session as well. And that affects your quant's performance.
Yeah.
That is something you guys have to, take care of.
Okay, yeah. Meghna, you were saying something, yeah.
Like just to add to it, like I would say, the more mocks you give, the probability of these things happen. Like you will experience everything while you're giving mocks.
Right.
When I'm like nearing like a 1 month before the D day, I used to write 2 mocks at one stretch, like 180 minutes, 180 minutes. So it's like 360 minutes. I mean, I wouldn't, there is nothing bad which can happen other than that, because you're already, stressed out like 3 hours, because we used to have 3 hours.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I think you will be prepared for every scenario. I would say, like as Aditya mentioned, it's better to practice in such orders, so that any scenario which can happen on the CAT day will cover it. So you won't be panicked at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about now about we'll keep taking questions in between for about VARC and all the other things and all that we know about CAT prep. But of course, let's talk about the selection criteria. So it's a general understanding for people regarding FMS that they focus more on the CAT score, and clearly all your CAT scores kind of says that, and it kind of focuses on the CAT score more and less on the interview. Is that true? And also, if that is how it is, then do you think engineers have a better chance of getting into FMS? So Radhika, Meghna, okay, all of you guys can pitch in, but first I would like to ask Akash, because he's a non-engineer, and then of course we'll talk about also Radhika, please. Yeah, Akash.
Yeah. So I think FMS has reduced their weightage to CAT. It's currently at 50%. I think historically it was at 70. I'm not really sure about it. Yeah.
But
so they have.
It might change again. So yeah. So let's not. Yeah.
So apart from it, I think they give 10% weightage to 10, 10, 12 scores. They give you full marks for above 75. So that's a lenient way. Apart from it, we in our PI, they basically the extempore and the discussion on SOP. It's included in the PI itself, and that forms a weightage of 30%. So I still believe that even though your scores is important, but your PI can still be a make or break session for you. So what they did was basically I was the teacher who was interviewing me. He was also from West Bengal, so I was also from the same place. So yeah, we had that commonality. He knew that I was from West Bengal. I didn't, obviously. So he grilled me on my.
Thought he was from West Bengal.
He knew because they had have our data. I didn't. So he was grilling me on the a little bit on the political side of West Bengal and going to all the history and specifics of Bengal. So that way, and I had learned all of those. So the interview was not very grilling or very roasting and any sort of that. It was kind of cool.
Okay. Yeah, Radhika. So you were not asked any questions from your BCom time, as in your graduation. What did you do? How you are? What do you want to do in FMS? Like, is there any particular field specialization that you want to get into? Something like that. No questions like that.
I had no questions on that.
Okay.
Absolutely no.
Okay. Yeah, Radhika.
So, Kalyani, just what you have asked Akash right now, my questions revolved around those things. So, the first thing was in that example topic, and for me, it was, I guess, my first day in Delhi, because I was speaking on the lines of how I came here for the first time by myself all alone. So, a pattern that I got to see, or maybe it's just something that I made up in my mind because I wanted to see a pattern, is that the example topics were mostly from the first 4 lines, 5 lines that we ourselves are speaking.
Yeah.
And for a few people, it was directly the translations of the name. So if someone maybe called Akash is sitting for the interview, the topic can be something like sky. So as random or maybe not random as that. So because I just wanted to find out a pattern, and this is one I came up with.
Okay.
And the next thing about my interview questions. So since I already mentioned that I'm from Tata Consultancy Service, I guess a lot of my interview posts that revolved around only this, that how was TCS as a company? How was my work? What did I enjoy there? the 5 Lirel principles that they have, everything very specific to TCS. I guess maybe one of the panelists was already at some point of their time, they had also worked for TCS, and that is why they could ask in depth so many questions. And then the teacher did ask me that, which is your dream company? And then I mentioned a Tata company only. Then she was asking, like, it was a proper conversation and it did not feel like an interview at any point of time. Then she did ask me that why from TCS to another Tata company and why an MBA at all. So those things that we prepared from the very start, that why MBA at all. It was a conversation for me, a 10-minute long conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just before I go to Meghna, Akash, were you asked anything? I mean, did this matter that you've had no work experience or that gap year? Did they ask you about the gap? And also, was there anything like? Did you do a internship and all? Because there were a lot of questions. Yeah, people are asking, did Akash have any internship experience? Yeah. You had?
So for answering your first question, no, I was not asked about my gap year.
Okay.
I was asked about my gap year in other interviews, but not here. This interview was completely based on my background and where I was from.
Calcutta.
Calcutta. So that was it. Coming to internships, yes, I had around 5 internships. 2 of them were paid. 3 were from NGO experiences.
Okay.
So there was, I think, one more question: if internships are important or necessary.
Yes,
they're not necessary. There are a lot of people in my batch who are freshers and don't have internship experiences. But yeah, they do give you an edge if you do it because you get CV points.
Yeah. You have more things to talk about also. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay, Meghna, your experience. The kind of questions. And then Himanshu and then Aditya. Yeah.
So, I mean, in general, not only for FMS, I would say in general, make or break questions are like why you want to do MBA. Particularly with people with experience, they are going to ask like, you already have experience. How do you think this MBA will add value? So that is something which you need to be pretty clear because it's about yourself. So any other question you might fumble, but this is something you shouldn't. You should be very well prepared about it. And also they want to know about it. They're not here to grill you. Just remember that when you enter the interview room, they want to know. So I mentioned my interest was reading. So like I remember the entire interview went around a book namely Inferno, which I read recently. They asked me why I liked it and what is the point of view of the author. So it's more about they want to know your point of view, and also the why MBA question. I think it's pretty much the make or break.
Okay. Yeah. Did anybody ask you apart from why MBA, why FMS? No.
Like they ask, like, seeing your this thing. Like I heard few people who have multiple calls, they will definitely ask the order.
Yeah, okay.
So I was pretty honest. So I had like calls from Calcutta, Lucknow. I told them like Calcutta, whatever my preference is, Calcutta, and then they ask like Lucknow versus FMS, like which one would you prefer? Why? They want to know like how your thinking process is, because it's again a personal choice people will make. So definitely seeing your percentile and the calls they are going to ask this question.
So would you suggest people to answer it honestly, or it's a tricky question because it can backfire as well, no?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely suggest to answer it honestly, because it's pretty much evident, right? Like if you see many less people, convert will come to FMS. It's honest, right? If you say I'll go for FMS, they're going to grill you a lot. Like why? You might not be able to answer it. That shows you're dishonest, and that's the last thing you want to, surface out.
True. Yeah. Obviously, with a 99% anything above, they would expect, you guys must be getting other calls. So I think, people should actually prepare that question also in their own mind also. It's better to
just be honest.
Okay. Yeah, Himanshu and then Aditya. Himanshu.
Yeah, hi. So, just like Meghna, my interview also started with the other converts. It was one of the last interviews, I think, in the month of May. Already had a couple of converts. So the same question had to justify why FMS compared to other colleges. And also was on the topic of my work ex. And because my graduation and work ex was kind of in the same field of related to operations. And the professor on the other side was an expert in operations. So
Okay.
That is what like the interview went about,
Hmm.
and followed by the extempore. So again, it was a very short interview for me, around 10 minutes.
Hmm.
And yeah, so there was no grilling as such, primarily because I had good enough points on my work-ex, graduation, as well as the extracurriculars on the CV to be spoken about. So I think that's what saved me from hypothetical questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Aditya, yeah.
My interview also was more or less on the same lines, but one question that they asked me was about the sampling. So sampling is a topic that we have in first year in statistics. So in Deloitte, I was doing some work in which I had to do a A/B testing. So some of my questions were on how did you choose your sample set, how did you filter out people and all. So that was one, but rest of the experience was pretty much the same. But I would like to answer one of your earlier questions, which said, how is the preference in FMS? Like, are there the funny thing here is both Himanshu and Meghna are my seniors, like immediate seniors, and Meghna was in the placement team. So I don't know, like in our year, it was like about 80% of them were engineers, my batchmates. Even the gender diversity was low. I think the placement.
Yes, I remember. You showed a photo also of
they're like around
class,
25.
all guys.
27 girls. That's it, and the batch of 250. So the placement team has like had very tough time getting companies because the gender diversity and the overall diversity of the batch matters for a company to come for a placement. And I don't know what these guys did, but from the next year, from my juniors, the entire diversity picture of FMS changed. Like they took, like in my juniors, it was like 50% diversity, like 50% 50% female. So it was that drastic of a difference. So I don't know what the placement team did. I think Meghna would be a better person to answer that. But now the demographics have changed. So that's what I wanted to emphasize on. Like everybody has equal opportunity.
Correct.
Right now.
But okay, so but tell me something. Apart from Meghna, were any of you asked this question for any other calls? Why aren't you choosing that one, and why you're choosing FMS? Radhika, Akash, were you guys asked any such questions? Radhika, were you asked anything like that? Why do you choose this and why not something else? Did they even ask you where all did you get a call from and all that?
So in a few of my interviews, this was
for FMS, yeah, for FMS. Did they ask you? Yeah.
The panelists did mention which calls I have. I mentioned all my calls. I mentioned my converts as well if I had it by that. And then she did ask me why MBA, and in that very answer, I had told her that why FMS as well. So that question never came to me, but definitely that could be one of the questions that can be asked in an interview. And I was entirely prepared to answer this question because for me, why FMS, I started out the preparation keeping this very college in mind. So it had a very firm FMS answer.
Okay. All right. Tell me something. All of you are CAT retakers, is it? Yeah. Meghna? Yeah. So there's a question about that. So how do you cope with that? As in, if you're taking it, okay, Aditya, you already said it like, 3 times. And then how do you keep yourself focused for every year while you're working? How do you keep yourself focused and motivated at the same time if you have to keep taking it again and again? Yeah. So Aditya and maybe Himanshu, you guys can answer. Yeah.
So I wouldn't deny the fact it is very disappointing if you don't get a score, and it is even more disappointing after a month or two when you see your friends who studied with you get calls and they actually converted. So that's the most disappointing phase. And in those 3 months, like 3 to 4 months from December to April, you can't do anything because the coaching centers also, they don't start their classes, they don't start their mocks. So it's after June or July that everything happens. So the only suggestion that I would give is I would definitely say 4 months of CAT prep is enough if you're doing it on point. So no need to start from December as soon as you see your result from the next day. I wouldn't suggest you to sit down and start preparing. I would say in my case it was more of that 3 to 4 months I used to give time to myself and more analyze things because there are multiple things. One is that you didn't answer the question, you didn't know the concept. those are the theoretical things that you can address. But there can be more elephants in the room which you do not know. Like, did you take pressure? At that point of time, you know the answer, but why couldn't you answer it? So these are the things that I used to think over those 3 to 4 months, as I couldn't do anything because I can't take marks. Nobody starts. And after that, I used to think, what else can I do? Like, should I prepare for GMAT? Like in my third attempt, because I didn't get good marks in my 2 attempts, I used to search for other avenues, but I used to again come back, CAT is the one I wanted to do.
Right. Okay.
And I used to start from June, July. And prior to that, I used to do reading because verbal mein, the more you read, it's very helpful to you. So in the gap months also, I used to read newspapers, do some passages and all. But in the June, I used to get back on track, then start my prep and all, and make sure that because all the concepts I've already covered. So what new can I do? Nothing much. It's more on what mistakes did I do and how do I make sure I won't repeat it again. Those were the focus points for me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Himanshu?
I think it's pretty much in line with Aditya. This was my second CAT attempt, and I failed the first one really bad, scored 86 percentile. So that was kind of demotivating. And what I used to focus on, like the other exams that were there, like primary, SNAP, that, etc., which in the first attempt. But eventually, by the month of March, April, I got serious on the second attempt, and I knew like what was the error from my end, as Aditya mentioned. Like, was it the lack of prep, or was it not handling pressure, or so basically you need to analyze what went wrong last year and try to kind of learn from that and implement it in the coming attempt that is there. Eventually, you need to keep going because like it's like who's hungry enough to give it one more time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Meghna, Radhika, Akash, you want to add anything to this? Because there will be a lot of people, who will be probably going through the same, unfortunately. But they should keep themselves, looking at the brighter side or something. Anybody would like to say anything else? Adding anything? No?
So in a manner, it was my second CAT attempt because I had once registered for the exam, and then I was so afraid to maybe take it because I was fearing a low score that I actually did not even go to the center to take the test. And that was a trauma that I had, that I cannot even go to the test center. How can I even take this test eventually? So that was way back in 2019 when I did that. In 2020, then I didn't even register. I thought that I'll not go to the center. It's no point doing it. Then finally, it was in 21 that I had overcome that part of not making it to the center. I registered and I went. This time I had prepared well, and I was not fearing that it might be a low score because I was like, let's just do it, whatever the score be. So irrespective of the score, like one should not maybe think about the score at all and just do it for the sake of doing it. So that's
correct. Yeah.
And Kalyani, one other point I would like to add. So I only have taken coaching once. So throughout my 3 attempts, I've not taken coaching multiple times. But in the last attempt, I made sure I did more mocks compared to my previous attempt. And the other thing was, you need to find a proper guide. Like, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend. Fortunately, I had someone I knew in IMS. So we used to sit down with him and talk. Even if I had some mental pressure or if I'm not able to handle pressure, I used to talk to him. And apart from that, I used to ask him all the questions on how to crack. It's all about that 2-3 extra questions that will push your percentile up. So you need to have someone to talk to. So you can't just keep it with yourself, and you can't address your self problems. So I would say find someone. It could be a friend, a mentor, or a teacher, guide, anyone. Just go to them, talk to them about the CAT attempts. I think that will help a lot.
Okay. Let's talk about academics now. So, how are the electives chosen, and how so specializations are not really. Is it a general management? Who will answer? Okay, current batch. Is it specializations are there, or is it like a general management, and then later on you choose something in electives? Radhika, can you answer this?
So the first year will not have any electives as such, and the subjects are common for everyone. In the second year that we have just entered, me and Akash, we do have electives over here. So we have to select our subjects out of marketing.
You've already chosen the electives, right?
Yeah, I have already chosen my electives. So
Akash?
we get some time to do that, and that is.
Okay. Okay. So, do you choose your electives like by bidding, Akash? Yeah. Do you, is there a bidding or something, or you just select it because you are good at it or you are interested in it? How does it work, Akash?
Yeah. So basically, a form is floated, and you express your interests in it.
Okay.
And if there are enough people, like even if 10 people opt for that course, for instance, there are a lot of subjects to this year, like which had only 10 people who were interested in that subject. So yeah, even those subjects were allotted.
Okay. Okay. There's a question about
So that is due to the fact that FMS has. Yeah, sure.
No.
Saying something?
Go on.
Yeah. So I think that so that is probably due to the fact that I think FMS recently has hired teachers 15 to 20. So now we can keep a lot of subjects in here. Apart from that, we also have that major minor policy as well as dual majors policy. So that is depending on the domain that you want to choose. So you have to select that number of electives in that domain in order to qualify for it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There was a question about I'm BSc agriculture graduate. Is there any ABM courses offered? Is there any? No, nothing. Okay. Yeah, Aditya, what were your subjects for your electives? And yeah, you all can kind of tell us like roughly, what was the direction you guys decided to finally, move towards. Yeah, Aditya, you can go ahead briefly, and then Meghna, then Himanshu, Akash, then Radhika. Yeah.
So when I entered FMS, I wanted to do strategy, and my second preference was marketing. So it happens that once you get in, there are multiple factors that play in, and at the end of your course, you might do the majors that you wanted to do, or you not. But fortunately, I was able to do my majors in marketing and strategy. So that was my forte. And strategy. And after first year is common for everyone, so nothing much to decide. But in my case, there were two factors that influenced why I took marketing and strategy. One was the professors. Like marketing had best professors, and FMS is known to be a marketing campus. And the second is we had decent to good strategy professors as well. So that influenced me to take those things. And the other thing was the job. So I especially wanted to get into consulting companies, and my prep was consulting focused. So that's the reason I thought if I do some strategy subjects, it might help me in future as well. So these were the two rational factors that I evaluated to take the course.
Okay. Yeah, Meghna.
So my major is in IT and operations because I come from IT background, and the one stream which I am targeting is also product management. So it's pretty relevant around that. But I minored in strategy also because it's needed. It's a horizontal in every organization you go to. That's why I have chosen that.
Okay. Yeah. Akash? Sorry, Himanshu. Sorry.
Yeah. So my majors was in IT and minors was in marketing.
Okay.
And actually, I had a PPO from Amazon in the first year itself. So that also kind of cleared the path for me. Where will I be working post MBA, and where I wanted to work in a tech company. So that's what influenced my call in choosing the elective.
Okay. Yeah, Akash?
Yeah, so I had taken I took subjects according to my SIGs basically. So I am thinking of doing a dual majors. So one would be in finance and the other would be marketing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah. Radhika,
So,
marketing, right? Yeah, I think.
Oh. Yeah, finance and marketing. So
okay, you are also going for dual.
Yeah. Two subjects, 3 in finance and 2 in marketing.
Okay. Tell me something. Now, this question is something that always is synonymous with FMS Delhi, which is the ROI factor. Now, tell us, firstly, is the ROI factor the primary reason why FMS is such a sought after B school for all the MBA aspirants? One is that, and the other thing is, apart from the ROI factor, what are the other things that one should look forward to? at FMS, and ROI should not be the only reason why you are aiming for FMS. So all of you can answer, obviously, but Meghna, you can start, and and Aditya, you can pitch in. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, ROI definitely is a very, very big factor, I would
Yes.
say. Why? Because now I'm not a student, right? I came out. Now I see the flexibility because I don't have a loan. I can choose few companies I can work for, which I don't see the people from other B schools able to do. I never thought this will be this big factor. Only after coming out, I was able to understand it well. And second of all, when I had a choice between Lucknow and FMS, I had only one thing because my profile, I'm non-IIT person, and you see people with IITs in all the IIMs. So I felt like where will my profile stand? And FMS has like I mean when we were doing MBA, it was 220. The strength was, I think now it got increased. So 220 people and a very short campus, you'll run into them. I can interact with all, which is very tough to do in other IIMs, which I got to know from speaking with other people. That's it. And then I felt this will make more thing because people in FMS has less experience when I joined. I don't know now what are the stats. So I felt okay, there's a good chance that my profile will be among the top people. So it's a better convert. And product management, if you see, is common across all the B schools.
Yes.
So I think, okay, why should I spend more and join other college when I can get the same thing in FMS? That was my rationale. But yeah, it differs from person to person, definitely.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Aditya.
Yeah, Kalyani. So in my case, it was more or less the same. Now, because I'm working, I can see the flexibility. So my friends who've come up from IIMs who are like in loan. So they have at least 60-70%, 60-70,000 of their salary goes into loans. And they are liable to work because they have the tenure which they have to fulfill. So if I take a work break or if I'm stressed out, I can take a break. I can jump from one company to other. So this flexibility plays a major role, and people will realize after coming out of the B school. Even I didn't realize when I was working, but Meghna used to tell me, you will realize, and all. That is one. The second thing is, while I was choosing FMS, so it was more on the ranks. So I am A, I am B, and I feel C also has like come down to FMS, IML, that it's still not in the Trinity League. So when I compared the placements, it was the same. In corporate world, there is no difference. People do not show any difference for IMA, IMB, FMS. No, it's only tier 1 college. So there are 7 to 8 tier 1 colleges. And we have done, I mean, few of my friends have done research, and you can count on us that if a company comes to FMS and if a company goes to IMA, they offer the same package. Either the company comes or not. If it doesn't, it might go to IMA and doesn't come to FMS. That scenario is there. But it's the same company visiting both the campuses, you are offered the same package, same role, everything is the same. So when the corporate doesn't differentiate you with the IMA, B or C, so it still makes a worth it college to study.
Correct. Yeah. Himanshu, you would like to add something?
I think Aditya mentioned a very crucial point. Like I'm at par with my friends from the IIM, and the corporate does not like differentiate between tier 1 college.
And you don't have a student loan to pay.
Correct. And you have much more flexibility to take calls that you want to like incorporate in your life. Along with that, I think the B school is just an entry which gives you that kind of a ladder up to a certain level, and eventually, like having spent almost 3 years in the corporate, like no one is going to promote me just because I'm from FMS or an IIM Ahmedabad or any other college.
Yes.
It's your work that will speak to like your performance, and that's how has been happening even to the attendees of this webinar, right?
Exactly.
No one is going to give them an MBA admit based on their 10 scores. So I think success is something that you rent on a temporary basis, and you need to keep performing. The only difference is tier 1 colleges will give you that premium roles of the market to start with.
Correct. Yeah.
To grow,
but eventually, yeah, you are on your own and your work. Yeah. Aditya and I, we were just talking about this right before the session about FMS and IIMs. Yeah. Okay. Radhika and Akash, there is a question for you. Regarding infrastructure, now a lot of people also talk about like, but what about the infrastructure? Like, I'm ABC and, I'm Lucknow also, they have like very nice, massive campus and all that. Whereas FMS doesn't have a huge campus, although it's within Delhi University and the location and everything kind of, is very satisfying for the students. But what would you guys say about that? Radhika, Akash. Radhika first, then Akash. Yeah.
So for me, the question was always this ABC versus FMS, and campus did stood out over there. But then I had read a lot of articles and I talked to a lot of people about this. So, like you mentioned, Delhi University is the real campus.
And it's huge.
Right. We also do have a South campus where we go and have some of the classes.
Okay.
Post that, I feel that the advantage that being in Delhi gives one. I would consider maybe Delhi as my entire campus area. We do have this event called Merchants of Delhi as well, which is a very famous event, and we do cover the entire Delhi area for that. So, campus is not at all what I feel is an issue.
But what about the dorms? Do you guys have dorms, or do you guys rent out your own apartments? And like it's like in another, it's almost like you're getting into adulthood in that way, that you take care of the rent and this and that and experiencing all that. Does that? What about you? Are you staying in the campus or rent out with your friends?
It is a rent out sort of setting that I have, but there are actually hostel for the boys. There's a proper hostel. It's actually not there for the girls, but what they offer is that we can go and live at other hostels, like maybe Rajiv Gandhi or Meghdut hostel, which we share with other Delhi University college people. So the exposure in that kind increases, that it is not just with MBA people. There can be physics graduate or a geology graduate living next to me.
So you also can participate on all the festivals that DU has, because DU has like massive long list of fun, lot of events and all that. So you guys can participate in those as well.
Totally. They do send us invites on a regular basis as well on the media cell ID, and we do circulate it among the students as well.
Okay. Akash, you want to add anything, or I'll move to clubs and committees? Okay, Akash, you can talk about clubs and committees. I already know Radhika is part of the media cell. Meghna was in placement cell. So I'll ask you about the placement process. Yeah, Akash, just tell me about the clubs and committees very briefly, like a few major ones. I think there's one very popular one in finance or in marketing. And Aditya, Imanshu, then just can also tell. Yeah, Akash.
Yeah. So I'm also part of FinSoc. That's basically the finance society. So we do have all major domain societies. For instance, for Prodman roles, we have the SysSoc. For marketing roles, we have the MarkSoc, the marketing society. So apart from it, we also have the culture societies. I think 13 in number, if Rathika can confirm. So we have the drama, we have stand-up comedy, and all sorts of culture, including dancing committees. That's all.
Yeah, Aditya, you were a member of?
I was member of Strategy Labs. So this is like a mini internship kind of a thing where we used to reach out to potential opportunities, be it through our alumni or say through our faculty. And we used to fetch some opportunities like 1 or 2 month kind of role where students can study and simultaneously work for the companies. So like a mini internship kind of a thing. So I was leading that. I was the president of that. And that's pretty much what I've done in college.
Himanshu?
I was a member and the president of the social service cell. So we also did a lot of extracurricular activities on campus. Like in terms of blood donations, eye checkups, rural village visits to a village called Ramnagar, wherein it was kind of a rural immersion program for the students.
All right. Okay, great. There are two questions. One is for Radhika and Akash. From which all other IIMs did you get calls for interview? Akash, can you just?
So despite being non-engineer, I did not have calls from A and B. So just to clear that air up, if you think that you're a non-engineer and you can bank on that extra academic diversity to get a call from A and B. So despite scoring 99.62, I didn't get a call from A and B. Apart from that, I had all of the calls. Yeah.
Okay. Radhika, you had a call from IIM Lucknow.
So I had a call from ABC LKI and I had converted ABC LKI. But since it was always FMS for me, the choice was, it was a difficult choice for a few days when everyone was kind of hoping that I would join ABC, and then because I had made the decision way earlier, so it was FMS for me.
Okay, great. Yeah. And did the interview panel ask you about the number of attempts and stuff like that? Did anybody ever ask any of you? No, never. How many attempts and all? Okay. Let's talk about internship process. Radhika, okay, Akash, you can very quickly tell us the internship process. You guys just also got your PPO, I believe. Akash got his PPO, and so did Radhika. Yeah. So, Radhika, your TAS internship, is it different from the general internship? So, Akash, you can talk about the overall internship process and your little bit of the whatever learning and all that you've had. And then Radhika, your TAS bit. And then we'll talk about placements with Meghna. And then Aditya and Himanshu, you guys can talk about your placement experience. Yeah. Okay, Akash.
So just to clear it up, by interview process, you mean the summer internship, the whole process, right?
Just that much. Just your internship process,
So it's basically a week or two. It happens in a week or two. It happens in the month of, I think, September. So you can have it around that time. Most B schools have around that time only. And we have companies coming in during that short period of 1 or 2 weeks, and that's it. I mean, all of us gets summer placed during that time.
Okay. Radhika, is the task bit different or is it the same, or has it got something to do with your TCS experience and all that?
No. So it has not got to do anything with my TCS experience. It is the same in the manner that it also comes in as a company which comes to recruit us only from the campus itself, because there are other ways also that TAS goes and recruit people in-house, that is within the Tata companies itself, and through a challenge that happens in the second year. But going through the summers, the process is just that when it comes in, there are few this round called a chairman GD round is only what I think makes that stand out from the rest of the GDs that one would normally have. So in that way it would differ, and because it is more of a like a leadership program that the Tatas run. So again, more than an internship, people would consider it more like something like a leadership program.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Meghna, the placement process very briefly, and then your experience, and then Aditya and Himanshu, your experience of the placement, the kind of interview and all that. Yeah. Unless you guys had PPO. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
As Radhika and Akash already mentioned about the summers, we have in the final for the second year students, we have something like laterals and final placements. Laterals is majorly where people have experienced people get placed. So companies which visit usually look for people with experience, but there's no criteria on how much the experience should be. It varies. And finals majorly for the people who are freshers, majorly marketing companies work who doesn't have any work experience requirement. So that's around that. Coming to the placements, as I am from placement cell and I have interacted with multiple HRs and all, like as already iterated, there is no difference between tier 1 colleges. FMS is part of it. So people doesn't do. And also I get so many questions on why there are no finance companies coming up and why there are, why this particular company is not there. The very simple reason, the companies which are coming change time to time. It happens with every B school, not only to FMS. Coming to particular domain, it also depends on the requirement of the people. So sometimes we get people who want more product management companies. If you see from the past few years, you can see in the placement reports of all the IIMs and all, you will see more product management companies like which are based out of US and all, because people wanted to get into product management, which is not the scenario like 3-4 years back. So
Correct.
it also changes, the mixture changes with what people want also, because we try to understand, gauge what they want to get into, because it's a life-changing decision, right? So we do that. And also placement team will also work with all the societies. Say if someone is interested in finance, and they don't have the respective criteria like the commerce background or anything, they are from engineering background, right? We work with the finance to make sure the people have certain things to speak about, because when the internships come in, right, they look for people with these. So we also do that in FMS. And also ours is just not placecom or the societies, it's the alums who bring in everything. So we have
Okay.
alums, like I personally can share my experience. There was a 2000 alum. I had a question about McKinsey, and I just told him. He's based out of US. He told me, I'm blocking some time. We can have a discussion. So it happens even after passing out of the college as
Okay.
well. So that's where the placements come in. And even when we do the interviews and all, alums will come in, they pitch in, they help you with all the interview process, particularly for the finals and the lateral people.
Okay. So the
So
alumni network is very strong.
yeah, very strong. I
Mm-hmm.
remember if someone is on LinkedIn, there is one meme going on where one L'Oreal India head has actually replied in one of our alumni groups. So that
Okay.
makes it very much vivid, like how strong our alumni network is. People
Yeah.
from 80s and 90s are also involved as if you're just
Yeah.
passed from the college.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And was yours a PPO or was it did
I
you sit for a
no, I sat for the LATS process.
okay, labs process? Yeah. You've had work experience. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Aditya, your experience.
Yeah, so I got a
Yeah.
PPO from Accenture Strategy. So prior to that, I'd like to talk about my placement process and prep. So initially, as Meghna told, the placement team will take care of all the requirements of the students. So they'll ask you to fill your preferences, like 2 to 3 preferences, because they also know that if you're only preparing in one domain, you might or might not get placed. So that's the initial process. And once you start preparing, I had a BCG shortlist. So that's when my actual prep got started. That's when the placement team, the consulting club, they said, Acha, you got a shortlist. Now you have to do strategy prep and consulting prep. So leave all other preparations and start your consulting preparation. So that's when my prep started. And I couldn't crack BCG. I lost it in the second round. And actually, but the entire process and all made me easier to crack even the prodman cases that would come in Microsoft and other interviews, and even consulting cases was like a cakewalk. And usually the consulting companies come first and followed by prodman and marketing, etc.
Okay.
So Accenture was the first company at campus, and I had a shortlist. So I sat in the interview. I had like 4 rounds. The first round was more of the manager level kind of a person took my first round. And in that, he asked me one case. He asked me to solve one case. And that was it. He didn't question any other things. In the second round, I didn't have a case, but that was also with another manager. And he was asking more of general questions like, how is your FMS? How is your interview? More of like a personal questions rather than the case solving. Third was with a MD, and that guy like really tested my general knowledge. So because I was from a COVID batch, as people would say, then he asked me a question like, do you prefer online education or offline? Then I told the demerits and merits of both the things. And he said, you are coming from an online system, at least till the summers. So why should I take you? And these were like questions. And he asked more of the current trends that were happening throughout the world in 2020, what were like the COVID scenario, and from how do a MBA graduate looks at those situations and all. Those are a few things that he asked me. And fourth round was with HR, and she directly told me that we will offer you, but are you willing to relocate and all that HR stuff. And that was it. That was the entire placement process.
Okay, Himanshu.
So I had a PPO, so I couldn't sit for the latter, and that's there. So internship was like one of the most 7 memorable days of my life. As Akash mentioned, it's somewhere around the first week of September. So this was September 2019, and I got placed with Amazon. Had given a lot of interviews. It's kind of chaotic because there are a lot of companies on campus. Every hour is crucial. You on an average end up giving around 20-25 interviews in a day. So I think it's one of the most memorable 7 days of mine on campus. And yeah, so like, and before that, the 3 months was on the placement preparation, interviews, CV optimization and stuff, which all the societies and the placement cells will help you with kind of mock interviews and reviewing your CV every now and then so that you kind of have an optimized version, and it's all kind of practicing and doing so.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Okay. Radhika, let's look at some photos quickly.
So I'll just go through which event it is.
Yeah.
One of the most famous section is the event name. You will see the class is decorated, and we have a professor, Mr. Sanjeeva Dubey, sitting right at the center.
Okay.
Over here. And section was just one of the events where the sections like A, B, C, D will compete amongst each other in various cultural and sports events to gain this section winner sort of the badge.
Okay.
Then the next one, this is Chole Bhature from Delhi because it's something that stands out in the North Campus.
Yes.
This is just a party scene from
because you can see that.
That is what
this is this okay? This is the campus. Yeah, correct.
Is straightly out of the campus. So this is a batch photo that we were having, and this is like we are all dressed in formals for the batch photo party.
Correct. Yeah.
Then I do have another. So this is after the silent. So there's a silent auction that happens, and the girl at the center actually won that auction for us. We bid for an event, and this event is a movie event that she had conducted. So this place is a movie place over here. International Film Festival was going.
Okay.
Again, a party scene. This is directly after freshers. So this is our no. This is directly after our summer internship. So this is our summer party. Now, this is a time when we were doing the Diwali decorations on campus. So not every one of us goes to home to celebrate these festivals. And that is what FMS gives us, a family away from our family. So that is the Diwali celebration over here. This is a normal North Campus outing and random people meeting at a small outlet, food outlet in Delhi. This is a very nice drawing that we did in our first year. This is the FMS building, and this was from an event called some art. So this is a group that were making those images and those photos. So that's the photos that I have. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so this is from the Diwali celebrations on campus. It's the same campus that Radhika was talking about, the batch photo shoot. So this is the second photo. If you can see, I think. So this is from the batch trip to Rajasthan.
Okay.
The night.
I'm looking for Meghna. I can't find Meghna in this photo.
Meghna was a studious person.
Yeah, she was also in placement cell, and I believe placement cell have to do a lot of work.
And there's one more. This is the Lodi Art District.
Again, it's correct. What is this?
It's in Delhi itself. A place called Lodi Art District. So it's all the beautiful walls and places. So like that's what FMS gives you an opportunity to explore the city along with the campus itself.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's all we have for this session. And before we wrap up, thank you all the attendees for all your questions. And thank you all the panelists. Thank you, Meghna. Thank you, Himanshu. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Radhika. Thank you so much for all the insights on FMS Delhi, and all the best for your CAT. Yeah, thanks.